Get Warrior Tough, Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
All right, we're back in the saddle. If you want to get in on the conversation, the number is 855-856-1380. That's 855-856-1380. We'd like to hear from you. Answer this question. Can anyone be a leader, or are they just born to it? Can anyone be a leader, or are they just born to it? If you want to get in on the conversation on Twitter, use the hashtag GetWarriorTough. Dutch is at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at WarriorTough PhD. Go to the website, GetWarriorTough.com. Subscribe to the newsletter. Find a handle, hook in. And if you haven't gotten your copy of Ground Zero Leadership, CEO of You, you're missing the boat. Grab that copy as fast as possible. All right, Dutch, we're back in the saddle. This whole thing about leadership, and there is, I believe, that there is a huge pandemic of a lack of leadership, and when we were called sheep as people, that people are like sheep. It's like we are like people don't want to even take control of their own life.
And in our program, that's the first step to leadership is taking control of your own life. It's not a coincidence that we call a CEO of you. And so if you can't lead yourself, then, good luck leading anyone else. And the funny thing is we see it all the time. We see people who have no control of their own lives expecting to lead others, and we see them fail miserably, and they never point it back to themselves. They never, they think they have this.
Why do you think that is, man? Why do we as human beings, it's always like somebody else's fault, and it's never us. It could never be us. Why? I mean.
Well, that anytime I have to look at myself, that's a difficult thing. But, most things in life that are going to get you anywhere at some point are going to be difficult. And the most difficult thing is looking at yourself and challenging yourself and your own sensibilities and your own thoughts. But in leadership, you have to do that because you have to do it before anyone else does. Isn't it better that you be aware of who you are and what your weaknesses are before someone tells you?
I'm with you on that, man, because I want to make the course corrections before anybody else does it. I always want to beat everyone else to the punch when it comes to making course corrections and honestly assessing where I'm messing up and where I could do better. But that's our culture. That's what we teach. So I expect us to do it. But it's just like I don't know, man. I guess it's human nature to try to blame others. But elite warriors in our culture, man, that's a no. I'm the problem and I'm the solution. That's where the buck stops is with ourselves. So that's what we teach. Let me ask you this, Dutch. There is a lot out there of people that, and I'll say it like this. I think it's almost like a cop-out to say, well, some people are just born leaders. I feel like it's a cop-out. And you and I have talked about it before, but this whole thing, somebody's just born to it. I think that's a bunch of hogwash, man. I don't think people are born to it. They may have certain natural talents that bend towards that, but whether they use them or not or develop them or train them, and even if you don't, I don't have any natural talents. I'm a grinder. That's what I am. I'm Forrest Gump, man.
That's a partial truth. I mean, it's not the whole truth. So when people say that, like you just said, they're born with some characteristics. But, most people, they don't even really know what true leadership is. They look at it as things like popularity, charisma, the whole package that comes with a con artist. Because we find a lot of leaders will be able to lead people without any substance.
Well, and that's what John Maxwell. Yeah, that's what John Maxwell. He said that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. It's purely influence, and that's what people they follow, and that's what that charisma is in the con artist. And I got just to be straight up with you, Dutch, and you already know this because in our 2-day course in corporate, because we do this CEO of You first, we take care of internal identity, but the second day is called People Whisper, and we teach. Really, all the tools that con artists use, they're psychological. It's the way the psychology and how the machine works and the physiology of the human, how the biopsychology, the mind and the emotions and all that lines up. We teach all those techniques in day 2 on how to be a good leader and get people out of their own way, but they're the exact same things the con artists do, man.
Absolutely. And as you said, we teach CEO of You first, because once you identify who you are, and why you do what you do and all those things that when you begin internally, then it's going to guide you and keep you away from using those powers for evil because you've already identified what's important to you. And once you take hold of that, then the superpowers that you all of a sudden have are not used negatively. They're not weapons.
And that's what we say. We say that, and we say, listen, you can only use your superpowers for good, because that's what it is. It's superpowers. I mean, we literally teach superpowers. I mean, it really is. It's how to. I mean, you can get people to do anything that you want, and you have them eating out of your hand, no matter what the situation is. And you know what? This is the kind of part that kind of bugs me a little bit, Dutch, is that people, they want day 2, but they don't want to do the hard work of day 1, taking care of themselves and persuading and manipulating themselves, right? Doing the hard work to get their body, mind, and emotions internally together. They just want to manipulate other people's emotions and minds and bodies. Like, right. That kind of bugs me, man.
Yeah, it does. But after you go through day 1, you know, it's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to come back from where you take you on day 1.
Right. That's why we do day 1, right? But I mean, most people, they just want to cut to the chase and run right to day 2. They're not even interested in day 1. We could make millions and millions of dollars if we just sold People Whisper without CEO of You. I mean, we literally could. Because that's what people are interested in, how to manipulate somebody else. Nobody really wants to do the hard work. And not say nobody, but there are very few people. And I mean, and our elite warrior, I mean, what, you know, our mindsets bear that out. Was it less than 1% are elite warriors? I'm the problem, I'm the solution. And they're the only ones that are operating out of that complete responsibility. Everybody else is in the blame mode, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I don't even look at that as an insult to people. I mean, the numbers bear it out.
Right.
The way people behave in society bears that out. So anyone listening that's taking offense to that, look, this isn't something we're creating. This is something that we see in society, and it's proven. You know, this is information that's out there for anybody. The behaviors of the people around you, sometimes like even ourselves, if we want to do introspective look, what we teach people is how to separate yourself from the pack. So to think that you're already there is I look at me. I'm trying to get better at this every single day.
Right.
You know,
I'm with you, man. It's a journey, man.
And so I'm not scoffing at the fact when someone tells me what is going on in general. You know, I'm trying to get away from general, and I'm trying to be the general. You know, so once you buy into that day 1. You can be weaponized in any way with anything, but once you come to grips with what happens on day 1, nothing can shake that. Nothing.
Yeah, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? I mean, that's what you're saying, because once we go there, it's kind of hard to undo that.
Oh yeah, and you know what? We're not just talking about. See, when we talk, people look at this as a corporate journey, you know, a business journey, a money making journey. We're talking about all aspects of your life. All aspects of your life, all parts of your being is affected by day 1. And
and that's why we call it life on all 8 cylinders, right? I mean, because it's like, it's not just your financial health and your professional health, but it's also your emotional health, your mental health, right? Your physical health, your social health and your relationships, your cultural health, right? It's all of these things, every area of life.
Absolutely. And every single area is going to be congruent. They're going to be consistent. People are going to notice it. People are going to want some of it. People are going to wonder where the old you is in a good way. But like, man, who's this new guy? You know, this
what
this
happened,
is wonderful,
man? Right?
And people are going to want some of it. They're going to want some of it. They're going to want to know where you got it from, and that's where you give them our number.
Yeah, and that's really the beginning of the magic of being a people whisperer. See, once you got that, once you have yourself under control, then people want to follow that automatically. And I always say this, right? You can't hide weak leadership in a crisis, right? So I've made my living in crisis management, right? So it's gunfight after gunfight, and I'm saying that both literally and figuratively. There's always some crisis. You know, there's 9/11, there's this riot, there's that, you know, natural disaster, there's the Pentagon thing. There's one thing after another. So I'm living in this crisis, and I'm telling you, Dutch, the people look to whoever is in control of themselves when everything external is going haywire. And so they automatically will look. It doesn't matter what your rank is, it doesn't matter what your title is, it doesn't matter your pay grade, how much experience you have. The person in the crisis management center, when you walk into the middle of the storm and you are the calm, you're the eye of the storm, everybody automatically defers to you. I made my career on that, man. I mean, no kidding.
That's why when people complain about bad situations, I laugh. Because I'm looking for bad situations.
Me
that's
too,
when I
man.
shine.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of our right. When bad news happens, get happy. Because how can I? If there's not, I'll say it like this: if there's not a huge problem to fix, then my huge solution isn't needed. right? So I'm not valuable. If I don't have a huge problem to put my solution to, it's not valuable. If it's not a huge problem, it's not valuable. If I'm only solving little problems, who cares?
And I'm telling you, man, for your emotional health, I had a buddy call me this morning with a problem, and so I'm walking him down that path, and we're talking, kind of talking about what's real, what's not real, what's truth, what's fact, to keep it in our language, what's imagined. We're going down this path, and we finally get there, and we make some progress towards a solution for him. He says, "Man, you need to be a counselor." and this is a person that's 15 years my senior, a very accomplished person. And so for me to hear that from them, and I hear this from people all the time, my peers, I hear it from people that are more advanced and more seasoned, as I like to say, and the result of this training, the result of my mindset, are those comments. Are people calling me, begging for that counsel, begging for that relationship,
right,
for the problem-solving abilities that I possess. And it all comes back to a process. It all comes back to this training. It all comes back to the way I live my life.
I'm so glad you said that, because it's a duplicatable process. It's not just like, oh, Dutch and Andrew are so special. I mean, we literally could teach this to anybody, because like I said, I'm Forrest Gump. I'm really not that talented, but I know a process, and I'll stick with it like a dog with a bone, I'm gnawing on that thing.
Now, Andrew, there's some people out there that are probably saying, "Oh yeah, I do this, I do that." Some of the tendencies. Again, this goes beyond what you naturally do. Testing it and running it up against a process is just going to make it better. It's going to give you some meat, because, I went along for a while doing it naturally. That's what we talked about, having a certain gift and all that stuff.
Right.
My brain was wired that way. I critically thought, but once I got into the culture, it started educating me on why I did things the way I did it, and how to reinforce that, how to make it better, how to make it long lasting. And as Andrew just said, how to make it duplicatable, because people would just see me do things and they wonder how and why I did it. And I didn't know how and why I did it. I just know that I could do it. Now I can teach others how to do that. It's not just me. I can teach them how to fish instead of them just coming to me all the time when it was time to get fish. I can teach them how to fish, send them out, and they can come back to me periodically to sharpen those skills.
Yeah, let's pick up on this when we get back from the break. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman.